Friday. I did not think that I would make it this morning because with today being a doctor appointment day, normally I just kind of have a different schedule. But dropped the kids off at the bus stop and it's Friday morning, so here we are. So I have a question. Has anyone out there ever protested? I've never protested. I've never really felt the desire to. I think my parents kind of took that out of my system by the time I was 3. But it's a serious question because all the stuff we've seen over the last decade or so over protesting and people just having weird situations from protesting. And I've repeatedly said to myself, first of all, these things always happen at night. Why do people protest at night? That's number one. And then a lot of the protests that garner the most attention, I guess the best way to put it, aren't for causes that I support. I'm not speaking for anybody else in that, just what I support. So anything from like the police things to when they had the, what was that, the G6 convention, I think it's called. They would have those protests and your social justice protests, January 6th, that I never had the desire to attend any of those. So if anyone out there ever has protested, what has your experience been like? This is another situation where I wonder, does the news media exaggerate? When people go out there to protest, is it really 98% of the time a mostly peaceful protest? It's a real curiosity now because it's coming back. It's cyclical how things happen. We have people in the media, people in society, people in politics who are constantly trying to prod us to get upset. And some of us get upset and we go out there and we march and we hold our signs and we do our things. And everyone has their different level to which they take it. Me personally, I just blab about it and then I move on. I don't really, like I said, I don't. But I used to live in York Haven, Pennsylvania. It's a little town called New Cumberland, just north of York Haven. It is one of the whitest towns I've ever lived in. Why did they have Black Lives Matter protests there? Like in the street protesting. That confused me. But there were never any incidents. There were even counter protests. I had to drive through this on a daily because my kids took martial arts lessons in New Cumberland. But it was, the most it was visually annoying. So I saw this, drove through it every day. No one cursing or yelling. Even the counter protests, they were just on one corner and then catty corner the other side was a counter protest. I've driven through this stuff, never seen any craziness. But when I look on the news, they show me protest craziness. And that's why I ask. First of all, anyone out there, have you ever protested? And what has your experience been like? I was too busy playing baseball and trying to be like the next great catcher to, I guess, really get involved with that stuff. And really, that's all I've been thinking about early this morning because I didn't fall asleep to the news, but I woke up to the news. And they were talking about Minneapolis again. It gets kind of old. And I never really want to talk about the politics. It's more about the behavior. That's actually a good way to put things. When we talk about the politics, it shouldn't always be about the politics. It should be about the behavior because we're going to disagree on a whole lot of things. How do you go about disagreeing with people? How do you behave? I guess that's the real question. So I'm glad I came to that full circle because I think that's really relevant. We do have so many things in our news media, in our world, in our society, quite frankly, in some cases, in our own houses, that will just try to make us fuss and fidget and all that stuff and get upset and disagree. How do you act? How do you go about it? That actually put me in a kind of a what do you call it in hockey? A vapor lock, because that I wasn't ready for that thought. Civility. I've said before that one of the things that I really wouldn't mind is kind of a national etiquette. From what I understand, the Japanese have kind of a national etiquette. And if you're going against the social norm, people will literally just stare at you. They won't holler or fuss or get physical unless needed. They'll just look at you because you know you're wrong. I think a national etiquette might not be a bad thing. I mean, most of us already sort of kind of have it, that ingrained yes ma'am, yes sir. Please, thank you. That is etiquette. And I think easily 85% of us exercise that, just as the way of being. But I think that's okay. A national. So, two things. We all have homework now. Item number one. Item number one. This is what happens when I start talking before coffee. Item number one. Should we have a national etiquette? I mean, I guess we don't officially even have a national language. But that would be part of the etiquette, quite frankly. Hashtag SOD. If you know, you know. But yeah, should we have a national, should there be actual behavioral rules, like how you, and I'm not saying that you get thrown in jail or something. Just if you're an American and 1000% correct. There is an extreme level of respect for their history, good and bad, and their elders and their traditions in Japan. Even to the point where, and once again, this is me just kind of regurgitating what I've heard and learned. I've never been to Japan, and I only know two people who were Japanese nationals through baseball. Not the same. But even those who are, I guess the American equivalent of punk rockers and things like that, they still hold traditions. There's still a work the work ethic of the Japanese, I find just admirable, really admirable. But we can do that here. I like I said, to a certain extent, I think we did have that here. But yeah, okay. So the national etiquette number one, should we have that? What should it entail? And like I said, we're not talking legalities here. We're not talking like we're a cop and come and knock you about the head if you're speaking the wrong way. Just as an American, when dealing with another American, should you expect to be called ma'am or sir? Should you expect please and thank you, excuse me? Because we're American and that's how we behave. And I know we're American and usually most of us, speak with the middle finger. But yeah, should there be that etiquette, especially from youth to elders? Especially from youth to elders. Should that be expected? That's number one. And number two, the people that do the protesty things, the people that get it. What has your experience been like? Seriously, because I've never done it. Quite honestly, never had interest nor time. So that's pretty much all I got in my head this morning. Short and sweet. I got caffeine calling me. So everybody, happy Friday. Have a really good weekend. And yeah, we're going to be doing some random as it goes along. No promises, no predictions, just something may or may not happen. So you all take care. Happy Friday.